In Ray Bradbury's perpetually disturbing vision of a future America, firemen are sent into people's homes to hunt down illegal materials, namely books, to destroy them, to set them on fire. Hence his choice of the name of his novel, Fahrenheit 451, the temperature at which paper will burn. Our third story on the countdown, 54 years after that book about anti-intellectualism was published, a disturbing parallel initiated by the Bush administration. Not in some future America, but right now, here, today. Actual firemen being trained to seek out illegal materials, to be on the lookout for people who express either hate or even just discontent with the United States, and to report back to the government about them as possible terrorist suspects. And because firemen and other emergency workers usually do not need a warrant to enter someone's home, they can go places that law enforcement can't, and not just during a fire, but, say, during fire code inspections. Nearly a year ago, Homeland Security gave secret clearance to 9 New York City fire chiefs, sharing intelligence with them in return for information on suspicious materials and behavior. If the information sharing program works in New York, the department says it will extend it to other major metropolitan areas, unless we stop them. I'm joined now by Mike German, former FBI agent who is now National Security Policy Counsel to the ACLU. Great, thanks for your time tonight, sir.
Thanks for having me, Keith.
Obviously, everybody should be alerting law enforcement if they see something suspicious or possibly related to terrorism. Firefighters are not excluded from that. But especially given their right to go into a building, not just for fires, but to evaluate fire safety, this program seems to be turning them essentially into legally protected domestic spies, does it not?
That's exactly what it's doing, and that's the entire intent of this program, is to turn firefighters and emergency medical personnel into intelligence gatherers.
Even before this particular program from Homeland Security started, the firefighters are being asked to be alert for materials that look suspicious, or people who expressed, as we said, hatred of or discontent with the United States. But now that they're being told specific intelligence and then being asked to report back to the government on what they see, does that put them in an untenably political position? Have we just politicized firefighting in this country?
Not just a political position, a legal position. I mean, there is actually still a Fourth Amendment. I know it's kind of bruised now, post 9/11, but there is still a Fourth Amendment. And what makes a firefighter's search reasonable is that it's done to prevent a fire. If now firefighters are going in with this secondary purpose, that end run around the Fourth Amendment won't work, and it's likely that they will find themselves in legal trouble, particularly the emergency medical personnel, because there are some very severe medical privacy laws in the country, and they could find themselves in legal jeopardy.
And you could see where that could fall into all sorts of things that are in both categories. If they trip over a meth lab somewhere, suddenly they're agents of the government. It may not be an innocent find anymore, and you've just ruined the prosecution of something that might be disturbing or destroying an entire city. But apart from that, apart from those things, is what disturbs you in the ACLU the same thing that just jumped off the page for me on this, that one phrase, look for people who are expressing hatred of or discontent with the United States? Discontent?
Absolutely. And anytime you look at these stories, they always focus on certain reading materials, terrorist propaganda they might call it, or flight manuals or things like that, and they're focused on literature. And that, of course, you know, again, there's a First Amendment in operation too. So we're concerned that that is where the firefighters are turning their attention. Firefighting is a tough job. We want them putting all their attention on doing their job, and they shouldn't be burdened with doing the dirty work for the Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah, we've already got 1984 in play in so much of the government. We do not need pages taken from Fahrenheit 451 either. Last point here. Is there one further element to this that maybe hasn't been explored? You've got very few government employees going into homes or businesses without warrants, or at least without records. Is there not a risk that if a government wanted to, for some reason, plant evidence of terrorism or of anything else on anybody, firefighters who are doubling as junior spies would be perfect for the job?
Well, certainly anybody who's not a professional law enforcement officer being engaged in what is law enforcement activity raises the risk of improper activity. And this idea of reporting suspicious activity, which is so ill-defined it could encompass anything, really plays to people's prejudices and gives them the opportunity to do damage to someone based on some prejudice rather than based on real evidence.
Yeah, we saw them with the ACLU materials while watching Countdown.
Exactly.
Mike German, formerly of the FBI, now now National Security Policy Counsel to the ACLU. Great thanks for your time tonight, Mike.
Thank you, Keith.